narcissists have the confidence of the competent without the competence. And so what they do is overclaim their contribution. So if you work with a narcissist, everything that goes wrong is your fault and everything that goes right is their doing. And they will loudly proclaim that, especially to their superiors, and denigrate you like mad if you dare to offer a counter proposition. And narcissists, it's a camouflage strategy in some sense. The narcissist passes him or herself off as a competent and confident person.
If you haven't read this book, I recommend you do. It's a really good book. They get into stuff about Darwin studying earthworms and everything else. But did anybody here bother to study the research? You know, like, do earthworms really always grab leaves by the tip? You know, so that way they can eat them? I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a relative situation. Can't dogs tell time? What if the perception of time has changed and it's like, well, it's time to bite that guy? I mean, are they conscious of that? Are you conscious of fight and don't fight in terms of the situation? Can't say it's not a good use of time, but I mean, at the end of the day, is it? I mean, bringing back JP into it, is it smart? It's great out here. That kid with his booger hook unsecure, 2 knuckles deep. I mean, not going to do a lot by doing it in here like this if they're just looking at it and don't get it. What is consciousness? What's a battery? Better yet, you know, what's
this diagram here. And you can see, just to kind of orient, there's the 3 leads on the transistor, and those correspond to the 3 things here. So we've got an emitter, a base, and a collector.
Stone mill overhead.
And just to kind of orient ourselves.
Let's take another run here. Let's just leave you back there while you're playing. I got some more in here, but let's do some other stuff. I'm not gonna say all these are keepers. Shouldn't use all of them, especially. Yeah. No, you're gonna do some trial and error stuff about salty squeakers and foundation notes, and you're not gonna give them all titles because they're all dark matter mean particles, and some model of the pie chart that's not completely worked out, AR MW 150-2. It's all AR backyard. But let's get to some good stuff
United
here.
States Army, Guard of Honor, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This ceremony that you are about to witness is the changing of the guard. In keeping with the dignity of this ceremony, it is requested that everyone remain silent and standing. Thank you.
Got a lot of routes in this transistor. If I'm just a Sawyer, or if I'm just a thermaler, if I'm just an operator, which many of these times these positions are set up into the logic, but it's not the whole bank of terms, right?
This is kind of turned into spray everything down, Fermilab before every cut.
Now, consciously, I've studied some particle science, so I know that this is a particle. It's going to travel down the pipes. It's going to do that, but I can't be sure of the cracks on the end, the jack, the color, how it separates into the metrics of bays down there. So if that, and or it's the measurements, they're not all 10-footers. It might be scrap, it might be garbage, come over here. If it looks good, you put it through there. It might be a footer or 3-foot, measure first. If you're not sure, measure. Put it through. You can't always be sure of those reeds and cracks in rock, the rifle inspection, right? That it should work between the approximations, right? The marginally prepared sinusoidal wave function. But that doesn't guarantee that it's going to do that. So you have to it takes a long time, Valentine Rabbit. Doesn't happen to people who are too salty or too sharps, but by the time you're real, all your fur is going to be loved off and you'll be beat up and loose in the joints. But But those things don't matter.
I'm using a little bit of physics as my friend, a little engineering.
They just don't matter. I gotta have this guy here. But here we're in a country. You know, we're having population more 60-year-olds than 50-year-olds and 40-year-olds. Mexico's industrial revolution's on the crank, but they keep sending us immigrants from 193 countries or 140 some countries. You got China about to implode the manufacturing. This guy has no kids, and the boss will still give you 15 minimum wage in New York. Now I know that may seem a lot about a mica farmer and stuff like that, and that's something I tried to consciously keep in mind. You know, the carpenter's equivalent exchange to a Nigerian or Kenyan farmer, right? You know, these are both mining operations. If you're going to do Kenyan gold mining with Baker's Mining over there, MBLMM, I think is what he is, Baker's Mining, you know, does great work. Love his shaker tables and his crusher tables and ball mills and stuff like that. That's a great kind of manufacturing thing, and he's got a lot of the OSHA set up. But in here, I have to be conscious of the fact that I make money off of this. So if I got to do that, then I'm going to have to mainline this off here. But let's take a moment to take ChatGPT-3, that there's cameras in here. There's usually an officer keeping an eye on those things. There should be an officer taking care of those things. It's like a Fed. They have to define the law of administrative immunity for these things, that if he decided to go that route, that it went through the book designs, like a transistor, how things roll on the table for the decisions they make. If out of rock, then go get more rock. I can't expect somebody else to do that for me. If somebody else's job is to do that, then how do I set up the route? Whether that be the square route or the routing as far as the computer work here. Code. Is there a position in that? Is that dark matter?
Alright, so that's my game. That's a good chat's looking there. We'll make sure I got it.
Inside here. Thank you. Inside of here, you know, we have to really consider, couldn't really find what I was looking for there, but I was looking for the 4-star General Schwarzkopf, trying to take Saddam about Marines eating landmines and jumping concertina wire to get through here. You know, you're going to claim to be a Marine and actually be in the wrong camp, and then you wind up being, I think it's John in Nimrod's camp and telling him that he's from Paul's camp, and you get tossed in the crucible. It's one of those things you really have to consider here about, are you conscious of all the things around you in the 7-year rabbit shoes or the blind guy or a drunk guy in town because they act to the Higgs score calculation? Now, to be fair, are you conscious that that's a fair evaluation? Yeah, I got a couple of drunk people down there, but that's not the sum of all evil against all the other calculations that you have to factor for in here. You know, this guy's got a 60K troop set up in here. Well, that happens a lot, you know, but that doesn't mean everybody that's got 60K employees is going to be considered ball, right? You know, it doesn't work that way. But for the most part, inside of there, if you had a name like that, or they were acting in such a manner, you know, then we got to be considering that this guy doesn't come up on Fox News or anything like that. So is he part of the military economic monster? Is he against the military economic monster? Do they understand the militia standards against that? Because GPT-3, with the right program, if that information was inputted into the code, how does it change the result?